I've recently realized that I enjoy something in games that should be considered boring and repetitive. I like to hunt for things. Treasure hunting, Easter egg hunting, or whatever you want to call it. The point is, I like to have a list of hidden objects to go find. I love the feeling of completing a list. It's been this way since I was a kid. Before I say any more, I want to make something clear. I cheat at treasure hunting or Easter egg hunting most of the time. I almost always have a guide or a map to help me. That's because I enjoy the feeling of completing everything more than I do the hunt itself, I think. Let's start with my first example. I remember getting GTA Vice City for Christmas when I was around 10 or 11 years old. It was a fantastic game with so much to do. You could start your own ice cream truck business, run a taxi cab empire, own a car lot, or just enjoy the cool story. I also got a guide with the game though. It was one of those Brady Games books. I'll always remember that being the brand because I had one for a lot of the games that I played. Anyway, one day I started flipping through this guide, looking for any and everything to do in Vice City. Near the back, I saw a list of these things called hidden packages. They were scattered all over the map, most of the time in hard-to-reach places or in places that weren't easily visible. There were over 100 of them, and you received something at certain milestones, like when you had collected 10, 20, 30, and so on. I immediately set out to find them, and that was the first time I experienced the feeling that I'm trying to describe. I went through that list of hidden packages without stopping. It took me all of one day and most of the next morning to get them all. I could never do it without that guide, but that isn't the point. The point is, I felt progress the entire time. I was in the zone, going through the map from one side to the other, checking things off my list. By the time I found the 100th package, I remember unlocking a bunch of cool stuff. But in particular, the game gave you a freaking army tank when you found all of them. It was great fun, and it felt almost like an obsession for those hours that I devoted to it. I also did all the hidden packages in San Andreas when it came out, and it produced the same exact feeling. I don't really like collectathons like Mario for some reason, but I do like collecting things. The difference is, I like to have the list of things in front of me and I like to know where they are. Another example of this is Metal Gear Solid 3. I got my folks to pre-order it for me because even as a kid, I was a Kojima fanboy. My parents were aware of how much I talked about Metal Gear and how much I loved it. So when we went to GameStop, rest in peace GameStop by the way, I got another one of those Brady Games guides with it. I still have all of these guides by the way, even though they're all super old, faded, and tattered, but I digress. I played through MGS3 and loved it, but after I beat it the first time, I started reading through the back of that guide, just like I did with the GTA games. It was then that I saw these things called Korotan frogs. I still don't know if I'm saying it right, but the point is, there were collectibles in MGS3 and I was about to start another one of those treasure hunts. I went through the game again, looking for those little frogs. They were hidden in really neat places where you wouldn't normally think to look. To get credit for finding them, you had to attack them and they made these funny little noises. So I spent many hours playing through and checking off each of these little frogs from the list in the back of the book. It was just as addictive as it was with GTA. The point of this video that I'm trying to make is that I get this really weird focus when I go on these hunts, and nothing else distracts me from my list and from completing every single one of the hidden objects. I'm curious if anyone else has ever experienced this before. By the end of the game, I had collected all of the frogs up until the point where you and Eva ride her motorbike through the woods and have to fend off lots of enemies who are chasing you. You're going fast, there's a lot of changes in the elevation, and you constantly have to shoot while both you and your enemies are moving really quickly. What tops it all off is that there's a frog you have to shoot during the bike chase. It's one of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had in gaming. There's actually quite a few of the damned things that you have to hit while you're on the bike, but I remember that one in particular being really difficult and having to retry it over and over. But it was totally worth it. The grind of finding every frog in the game produced this feeling of satisfaction that I can't get anywhere else. I'm not a completionist by any stretch, but when it comes to collecting stuff, I just can't stop until I'm finished. These Brady Games guides introduced me to some of the most memorable times I've had, and I miss the days when I used those guides. They were so cool, and sometimes I want to get back into it. Everything is digital now though, and because of that, guides and collectibles have changed. In many ways, it's become more dynamic, and it's evolved into a live hunt more than it used to be. Red Dead Online is a perfect example of this. Let's talk about Madame Nazar and the collector role that they recently introduced to the game. So once you have enough gold, you can go visit this NPC named Madame Nazar, and she has tons of things for you to find. It's treasure hunting at its finest, and I've been crazy addicted to it the past couple of weeks. A buddy of mine that I play with sent me an interactive map for all of the collectibles in the game, and it's been the most fun I've had in years. The way it works is that Red Dead has cycles each day. For a set amount of hours, collectibles can be found in certain places across the world. There's a list that includes American wildflowers, 4 sets of tarot cards, so 56 in total, 8 bracelets, 11 sets of earrings, 9 necklaces, 11 rings, 9 bottles of special antique alcohol, a bunch of family heirlooms, bird eggs, arrowheads, and special coins. They're all on this interactive map that I use, and there's 2 different ways that you can do it. You can start on one side of the map and collect everything as you travel to the other side of it, covering every piece of ground in the entire game. Or you can collect them set by set, getting all the cards, then all of the necklaces, then all of the arrowheads, etc, etc. It's really up to you how you want to organize your treasure hunt, but I'm absolutely addicted to it. I go find each of these things and then pick them up, dig them up, or find them with a metal detector, and then I check them off my list. It's just like the list in the old game guides, except now it's constantly changing during each cycle of the day. Last week, my friend and I sat in a call all day and collected everything in the entire game. Well, almost. It took me a couple of hours the next day to finish up. But the point is, we were sitting in a call together, not even in the same party, just riding around on our horses collecting all of these hidden objects. And it's the most fun I've had since those days collecting hidden packages in GTA or those frogs in MGS3. I can't stop myself until it's finished, and there's this feeling of progress that comes with completing the deck of cards or finally finding that last special coin. I love completing the list, and it's extremely satisfying to know that you're finally done. During the grind though, I'm zoned in, I'm organized, and I'm efficient. I don't stress about family, money, or whatever else life throws at me. I just hunt that treasure, and I become completely absorbed in the virtual world around me. It's a difficult thing to describe, and I hope I'm not the only one who knows what I'm talking about. So tell me, have you ever gotten absorbed by collecting? Which games did it for you, and what are some of the best examples of collectibles in games? Be sure to tell me in the comments below. I'd also like to take some time out right now to voice my appreciation for Brady Games and all of the guides that I had when growing up. I don't think I would have experienced everything a game had to offer if I didn't have those books there to show me where all of the hidden stuff was. I could have missed out on a lot. There's something special about having that guide open while playing through, and I fear that books are becoming a thing of the past. The new interactive map for Red Dead is a good example of this. It replaces the paperback foundation that gave me my love of collecting. However, I'll admit that the digital way of things is more efficient for a game that constantly changes in real time. I'll always have nostalgia for Brady Games though, so shout out to them for publishing some of the best memories of my life. What I want to leave you with is this idea that video games can completely change your life. You can completely get absorbed in them and forget where you are or even who you are for a few hours. Collecting things is something that does this the most for me, and it's something that I appreciate about playing video games. So if you guys have any idea what I'm talking about, or if you can relate in any way, be sure to tell me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to share it on Reddit. Every share really helps us out, and it allows us to grow and to continue producing content. So don't forget to do that if you want to, or if you don't want to, don't. But either way, I'll be on Discord, or you can chat with me in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.